episode is I'm tired of death. And I'm draining my sinuses in the process. Alright, I am headed to the chiropractor. As per usual for my Wednesday routine. I am so behind schedule. Oh my gosh, this view is so gorgeous. Oh, I gotta turn it around. Look at this view. Look at my drive. It's really beautiful. That creeped along. Alright. My bangs are doing this little weird flipper out thingy, so I'm just gonna go with it. My friend made it to my house at 2:30 this morning. Oh my gosh. I think I got to sleep at 3:30 and I woke up at 7. I don't normally, excuse it, I don't normally eat anything in the morning. Gosh, like brain fog. But I ate a banana and I chugged down a protein drink because I know my body is completely not happy. It's not happy. But it's happier that I gave it some energy this morning than my usual fasting. I also didn't eat right before bed last night, or right before I fell asleep, so this is kind of like a late fat, early fast. I don't know what to call it. But yeah, usually I have something in my stomach by this time. It's going to be curious to see what my blood labs are going to be, because these are my last labs before my next infusion I do for myself. For my IgG subclass 2 deficiency. That's a mouthful. That's my primary immunodeficiency disease, which is a big term for an umbrella of a whole bunch of other autoimmune diseases. There's like IgG subclass 1 deficiency, IgG subclass 2, 3, 4. There's like several. So what we have found out about my friend that's staying the night and how her skin is disintegrating by UV light. That's what I meant last night in my video. If any of y'all watched my video about wrapping and giving, I talked about how my friend is a vampire. Well, she kind of has to be because of she had a very bad medication reaction, which has caused her to have what I have, which is mast cell activation syndrome. But the damage that this medication has done to a very small number of people throughout the world, and it's primarily men. And so the study that was being conducted about this hair loss medication, I can't recall what she said she was taking. It doesn't matter. Anyways, what matters is the medication she took, the withdrawals from it, from cutting, whenever you stop taking this medication, it is known now that it disintegrates your skin. It just starts like flaking off. And essentially you don't have regular skin that's broken down on the surface. And so you don't have that protection that everybody else has when it comes to skin quality. Yeah, hers is just so jacked up. I mean, I can't tell unless she really points it out to me, but I believe her 100%. You don't discount somebody's, no matter how outlandish it may sound and how far-fetched it may sound. Like, I know my body. trust is family. However, I do share information about what's going on with my family, cousins and I, because it's, as I explained to my therapist yesterday, my parents' generation came from families and pretty much just generational trauma. But I mean, it's not really trauma, but it's just generational for how they view life in so many ways. They're boomers, so I think my mom was like right on the cusp of boomer and Gen X because she's a little bit younger than my dad, but my dad's definitely a boomer. But my dad was raised strict Catholic, and his family his mom has 8 children, so thank goodness they had some money for the 8 children, because whatever they did, it was decent work. And his dad also went to the Navy, but also my dad's real dad died very young, and I never got to meet my real grandfather, which is a shame because he was a really good man. A kind of a man I haven't met. It's sad because his death could have been totally preventable. He died due to a misdiagnosis, and by the time they figured it out, it was too late. My grandmother never sued or did anything, and I really think she should have, because that's so jacked up, especially with how our healthcare system is now. Like, kind of a man I never met, but it makes me sad I never got to meet him, you know? I full on love tradition, but my family doesn't really have that many traditions. They never really followed any, like, one way or another. But I can't believe I'm crying over this. I can, but I can't. I'm emotional because I'm on lack of sleep, so I can see why I got all cryy. But anyways, take a deep breath or two. Reset my nervous system that's trying to ramp up. Don't get stuck in my feelings. Breathe in new air. Breathe out negativity. Bring in fresh. Breathe out negative. Alright. So, like I said, 8 children each on my mom's and dad's side of the family. The difference is my mom's side of the family and grandmother had 8 kids. They weren't so lucky with money. My dad, my grandpa, my mom's dad, he was a laborer. He worked in agriculture and something else. I can't remember what else she said he did. But he didn't make enough money to support 8 kids. But only 5 of them were his. My grandma was married and divorced once, and remarried to my mom's dad, and continued to have 5 more kids with him. And the majority of my mom's side of the family, the majority of them dropped out of high school early for one reason or another. Like, the majority of them didn't graduate. So I think all of them, or most of them, went back for their GED. So I mean, my mom's expectations and my mom's trauma keeps the score, and it is passed down through generations. And so I have a little bit of that trauma from my mom's side of the family, and that's why I believe that there's more mental illness. That's why there's anxiety in a lot of my aunts and uncles, and then now my cousins. It's more concentrated and like stronger in me, my cousins, than it is in my aunts that have suffered majorly with anxiety and panic try and keep the oxygen from flow to all of my body. So that is what POTS is, essentially. And it's also under the umbrella term dysautonomia, which is autonomic nervous system problems, autonomic central nervous system problems. You have the autonomic and brain fog. I can't think of the other one. Sympathetic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. There we go. Autonomic is kind of what it sounds like. It's automatic. You don't have to think or do anything about it. It's just, and that's what regulates your body temperature, your breathing, your heart, and oxygen levels. That's what it regulates. Sympathetic nervous system. It's been a while since I looked at that definition in terms, so I'm not going to go over that because I don't want to give false information. Gosh, it's been a long time since I've done my medical research, so I could probably use a refresher on, in all honesty. And in all honesty, I should do some episodes about each one of my syndromes and diseases that I have and explain how it affects me and what are the symptoms and what are the treatments of those things. I may get to that at some point, but as I've tried to say, in my unwind video, nighttime routine video that I posted last night, I mentioned that every time I try to plan a freaking series or episode or something, I end up never doing it. My follow through is shite. That's what I can start using is shite instead of sheet. I think sheet sounds weird anyway. Shite. Shyster. Bad thing. I love my aunts, but I really don't. I'm kind of like my mom. I'm a little biased and judgmental about some of my family members. I can't help but follow my parents' opinions on their own brothers and sisters. They know them best. But I try to base my relationship with them off of my experiences with them and not what my parents' experiences are with them. So I still do things with my aunts on my dad's side. Not very often, but I get invited to do things. And I'm willing to spend some time with them. I think it's special to have relationships with your aunts and uncles, and especially as they age. And they get lonely. And, some of my cousins don't spend much time with them. My parents are lucky. They get to spend so much time with me. My parents are currently down visiting my mom's youngest brother. I'm not sure the purpose for this time. I actually do know. It's my parents' pretty much lifelong friends. They went to high school together. My dad and this guy named Mike went into the military together and served together. So they've been friends since high school. And my parents have been married for 50 years. mathematics disorder, so excuse me if I don't have all the correct info, but it's close. It's close enough. I'll roll with it. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep them joys going. Okay. I don't know where that came from, but it's not how often I think of that. I do think about bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. Bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. Okay, I wish I could dance in the car. I can't. So right now I'm almost to my chiropractor's appointment, so I'm going to wrap up this video. I don't know what the point of the whole family history thing was, except for let me talk about my family again. I love my family. As it's the holiday time, I really don't see my family. We don't get to do the get-togethers as adults. Most of my cousins have moved away on my dad's side. My mom's side, I mean, ever since my grandmother died on that side, none of them really get together. My mom was the executor of the estate because my grandma knew that my mom would do things fairly and equally and not mess anybody over. Well, some of my other aunts didn't see it as that because there was some mishap with some of the estate, and they ended up having to pay back a whole bunch of money that my grandmother still owed on the house. And there were loans that were taken out because of one of my aunts, the one that was all disgruntled about having to give back some of the money that was supposed to be the inheritance, that it was split evenly among all of the kids. And you know, you really see what people and family are like when there's a death in the family. You really see people's true colors when there's a death in the family. Everybody fighting over stuff. It's so stupid. And the larger the family, the worse it is. And so a lot of the family didn't really want anything to do with my mom, or vice versa, because of the way they treated my mom. It was not right, and they took it out on her, and my mom was just following what they needed to get done financially to make sure that they were going to come after her, because it was my mom that was on the line if any of the finances or estate got jacked up. So it is what it is. So yeah, family. There's always family drama in every family. There's always something. But I don't have any living grandparents. My mom's dad died when I was young, like at 10 years old or something like that. I can't remember, but I was pretty young. I do remember bits and pieces of my grandfather, and he was just a mean old man yelling at us grandkids all the time to get out of the fish pond because we like to stare at the fish, and he cried. My grandfather prided in his koi fish pond that he built from himself, concreted the whole thing in himself. My grandfather had the most beautiful yard. He was a landscaper. He just loved having flowers, and that's where my mom's green thumb came from. And then also, that was another thing my grandma had in common with my grandpa, is she loved landscaping and stuff too. So I mean, it only passed on to my mom. So it didn't pass down to me. I freaking kill everything. I kill all plants. Don't give me a plant. I have one house plant that my mom brought back to life, and I recently just bought another one just to see how I do. But I need to put it in a new pot, so I'm already killing it because it's root bound and it needs to go into a new pot. Maybe I'll stop and go get a new pot out today. And that looks pretty from the house. So anyway, I'm at my appointment. Just wanted to give a little chat. Love y'all. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and peace out.